This is the Anything Goes with Jackson Neill podcast. Welcome back. This is episode number 121 episodes deep. Today, I have Emily Hackett on to talk about her latest EP, By the Moon. But before we jump into that conversation, I want to remind everyone to rate and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud, wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find Anything Goes. New episodes come out every single Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe to it. So Emily and I talked about By the Moon and just kind of what inspired it, what she was thinking about going into writing this one. It's a 5-song EP, about 18 minutes long, and it's really, really good. I mean, I enjoyed listening to it. My personal favorite song off of it is Quit Overthinking, but it's really cool EP. She has a lot of cool concepts on it, a lot of cool song ideas that she explores throughout it, and a lot of it comes from her personal life and personal stories that she wanted to share on this record. So in this interview, she talked about those stories and how it influenced the project and how it influenced these songs and just the whole songwriting process. It was a really, really fun conversation I had with Emily and one that I really, really enjoyed. So let's jump right into it. All right, so let's just get this started. Can you tell me a little bit about this new EP?
Yes, so By the Moon is my second half of a full-length record that I did, and we decided to split it into two because it was kind of intuitive, really. I sat down one day and I had written down all of the 10 songs that we tracked in the studio, and I just randomly started drawing little suns or moons next to each song. And it just based off of the way the songs made me feel, what the content of the song was primarily, not even, upbeat versus down or whatever. It was just the content. And I zoomed out and I had 5 sunny songs and 5 moon songs. And I was like, wow, I guess this is how I'm going to do this. And so I released By the Sun last year as a way for me to be like, hello world, this is me. This is, take it or leave it, everything that I stand for, no matter who you are. And then now that people have lived with that EP for a year, I thought it was time to release the second half where I get a little bit more real, a little bit more vulnerable, and remind people, hey, I am by no means perfect, and I am more than happy to go to some really difficult places with myself in order for you as a listener to feel okay about going to those places for yourself.
Mm-hmm. So I find that kind of it. So you just randomly just drew the sun and the moon next to the songs without even really thinking about it?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was the weirdest thing. I just had this, I don't know. I was just sitting down, kind of having some me time and looking at the songs, and that was what came to me. And so it just it made so much sense though the minute that it happened. I can only really equate it to just being a God thing. The universe just gave me that moment, and I was like, wow, this could not be more perfect.
A perfect sign.
Yeah.
So you mentioned
universe person like that too, I've always been obsessed with the cosmos and all that. So it made a lot of sense the minute that I called my producer and I was like, so I just had this crazy idea. And he was like, well, of course you did. This is perfect.
Well, it did turn out pretty well. But so these are meant to be kind of listened to together. Is there a specific order, a specific way that both these EPs are supposed to be kind of conjoined and listened to?
I do have a listing of all of the tracks together as just the full-length record, but that is probably yet to come. I've been considering re-releasing all the songs together on vinyl sometime in the near future, because I think that what's interesting about today and the way that people listen to music is that, unfortunately, and there's nothing there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just that our attention spans have changed. There's so much music that we're inundated with. It's really hard to sit down and listen to somebody's full record all the way through unless you've already developed this relationship and bond with them as an artist. And so this being my first record, it was another reason why I did want to split it into two pieces, because it was a little bit more consumable. But at the same time, I love still listening to full records down, especially on vinyl. So I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to show my fans, digitally, this is me in one piece, this is me in another piece, and now if you want to sit down with me on vinyl, I'm going to put these in the order that I originally intended them to be in, and then you can listen down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a huge vinyl listener too, but I get that nowadays there's so much music online that it's difficult to release that full length sometimes, because you worry, will people listen to the full thing all the way through? Maybe if I release it into two EPs, it's more consumable for the audience.
Totally. You want to keep your artistic element of it alive, because I think that that's important to not just you as the artist, but also to your fans. But you also, you're trying to make friends with those fans. And if they're like, well, I don't know you yet, I don't know if I want to go that deep with you yet, then it's nice to kind of give them the option to play by their own rules and listen the way they want to listen.
Exactly. Got a little bit of a give and take there. So
yeah,
you recorded this. So you mentioned how you recorded this as just kind of like this full project, and then you split it up into EPs. So can you take me into the recording process of that whole project? How long was it? What was it like?
Yeah, so we took our time on that process. We went into the studio at the end of, I think it was the week of Thanksgiving in 2016. And we did the first session, and then we did the next session probably not until March or April of the following year. So we were kind of slowly picking away at things, adding different overdubs, adding vocals and all that stuff. And the reason why we took our time was because I was working with my dear friend and very talented musician, Davis Nash. And Davis is a songwriter as well. So, his day-to-day is filled with co-writes and production. And so we just kind of were trying to work on the record whenever we got a chance to. But I was really glad that we were able to take our time with it and figure out what we really wanted because of that. So we finished the entire thing at the end of 2017. And then I started releasing a few singles and kind of took our time with that too, just as I was introducing myself to the world.
So yeah, a pretty long process there. How did being able to take that long of a process, how did that affect the music, and how did that maybe have a positive impact on everything?
I think what was good about it for me is that a lot of those songs had lived on stage with me for a while, acoustic or sometimes with the band. I had been playing them for a long time, but I hadn't recorded them yet. So it was super important to me to make sure that when we did record them, that they were exactly the way I had been imagining them in my head. And Davis was really, really good about that. He heard it, he heard me play it acoustic, and he was like, I think that I'm hearing what you're hearing, will you give me a chance? And so we were able to really break things down. And there were some things that, didn't work. And I was able to be like, hey, can we change this instrument, or can we fix this? And we were able to just communicate and work together really well and not feel rushed. And then my husband actually mixed the record, which was a lot of fun too, because he's always been super involved in, my music process. And so he kind of vocal produced it and helped mix it. And it was just a really great experience for all of us, because it was my first full-length record that I've ever done. So it was nice to be able to take my time. But I think looking back on it now, we're very excited to move forward in a completely different way. We're like, maybe this time we'll release songs a little bit closer together. We'll produce things as we as we write them, and just try a different process, because I'm having a lot of fun writing different kinds of songs, getting a little bit more pop oriented with this next project. And so, record 2 might look a lot different than record 1.
Oh, sweet. Well, you mentioned a pop direction right there. What makes you kind of maybe want to have something a little bit different on this next one?
Well, I grew up on rock and roll and everything my dad listened to, as well as like a lot of 90s rock. But the things that I continue to come back to are like the singer-songwriters of the 60s and 70s, and people like Sheryl Crow, and I'm really inspired these days by people in the pop world, because I think that a lot of those people grew up on the same type of music, and they're finding ways to incorporate it into what we consider pop music. And I think that obviously pop goes through phases, and I think sometimes I used to, in writing my very singer-songwriter songs, I looked at it and was like, oh, this could never live in the pop world. But I think now it kind of can, with artists like Alex Benjamin and Sasha Sloan. And, I think that a lot of those songwriters, where really songwriting is like the main element of their craft, they are having a lot of fun in incorporating, just finding ways to make very simple songs fit in the pop world, where we expect these big tracks that they don't have to be. It's just pop music is just popular music. So they're finding ways to bring the heart of songwriting back into popular music, which is really cool to me. So we've been playing around with different styles of production. And I think the thing with me is that my songs a lot of times feel very genre-less to me. I've fallen into the country world for a number of reasons, but one of them, I think the main reason being the fact that I'm a storyteller. I really like detail-oriented things in my lyrics, and lyrics are an incredibly important thing to me. So oftentimes I think that's why it relates to country, because country can say, like, every songwriter in Nashville, for the most part, if they learned how to write a good song based off of, a crazy good lyric. And so that's why I fell in love with the city, and why I started to love country music more and more. But I think that the production wise, some of the songs that are stamped country right now, if they were produced differently, you might not say the same thing. So it's been fun to play with my songs and just create what we think the song needs versus what's going to fit in the genre. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you mentioned the whole tons of music out there nowadays. With all that new music, there's all these different ways and these different kind of genres and subgenres that have kind of been created, since there are so many different options. There are so many different people making music and different ways to do it.
Yes, exactly. It's a great season of play right now for artists.
Yeah. So I want to touch on this, go back to the EP By the Moon, especially that first track, Easy. It's really kind of personal and reflective track. Why did you want to make that the first one on the EP?
I think probably for that reason, that it is so personal. I wanted to show I wanted to show who I was, to all the people who had taken the time to get to know me on a surface level, to be like, all right, well, let's get a little bit more real and see if, if you can get behind that, and see if you have the same kinds of feelings. And so I just wanted it was good for me. It was therapeutic for me as an artist to write that song, and then for people to hear it and be like, and not feel judged either. That was the thing too. I think that for so long, when I made that poor decision that led to writing that song, I held so much shame surrounding it, and it wasn't until I started talking about it that people were like, wow, I've been there. I've felt those same things. I've done that. And was never a feeling of like, oh, shame on you for doing that. You know, it was just like, hey, I'm human too. And I think that was what's important, is that oftentimes people don't have those people in their life to be able to open up about those things, or they are just too shameful about it, too scared to do it. So it was important to me to put that song out and let those people know, like, hey, by the way, like, if you feel this way, you're not alone.
You kind of get all like that relatability factor.
Absolutely.
Was that something you wanted people to take away, I guess, from the whole EP as a whole?
Definitely. I think, all those songs, you know, have something incredibly vulnerable about it. Like, Quit Overthinking is about just that, you know, getting in your head about something that, you know, you're telling yourself lies. The amount of times that I believe the lies that I tell myself it's ridiculous. And so it's just a good reminder to me to not overthink stuff and to not, you know, go down those rabbit holes. And once in a while is about the times that you really want to text the person that you recently broke up with just to see if they're doing okay, but you can't, because it's not fair to you, and it's so not fair to them. And, you know, It Gave Them Away was a moment of awareness when it finally sunk in one day that I was like, wow, I had something really cool and I screwed it up, and I'm never going to get it back the way that it was. And I just had to accept that. And that was a really difficult thing to do. But that's life, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so exactly. they all have their own story.
Mm-hmm. So I want to just touch on this whole idea of this debut project for you with By the Sun and now By the Moon. And now, you know, following this, you're talking about maybe taking a different direction. I just want to go back and ask, how do you think you grew as an artist during that long process of doing this entire project, including these songs for By the Moon?
I grew in understanding, I think, what people want to hear versus what I need to get off my chest. Sometimes they're not the same thing. And I'm discovering, you know, which songs I'm writing for myself versus the songs that I'm writing for the world. So it's definitely made the song decision process a lot harder. I think that original batch of songs really was a debut record in the sense that I had taken, those songs were chosen from probably over 100 songs over the course of years, you know? And so those were the ones that were standout, like pivotal moments in my life. They were undeniable in who I was. And now in choosing songs, I've been writing so much about from my own shoes. I try to put myself in other people's shoes a lot. I use a lot of my best friends as muses. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. But I think it's made the decision process of which songs deserve life in a production sense, and maybe if they don't deserve it right away, you know, it's the timing of it all. It's made things a little bit more tricky, but it's nice learning the difference between, okay, is this something that I just really love? Like, am I being subjective to it? Or is this something that I think will be meaningful to others?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, and get kind of back to that kind of relatability idea.
Yeah. I mean, finding who you are as an artist it's a two-step process. I think it's remembering and always, you know, just remembering your roots as a human, as an individual, because if you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to grow that tree. But I feel like, the debut record was growing my roots, and moving forward is just figuring out different branches, and some branches that are going to go one direction in terms of style, and another branch was going to go another direction. I think that that's what makes art so cool, is that an artist is supposed to change and grow and try new things. So
exactly. So you have this debut, now both halves of this debut record out, By the Sun and By the Moon. You're already looking forward. Just how are you feeling right now in this moment?
I feel excited. I feel very blessed to be talking to you, for people to be wanting to learn more about me and what I'm doing, and I just think it's a really cool time to be an artist, because we get to play around, we get to try new things, and we're in constant healthy competition with, I could be in competition with a 14-year-old kid who's making tracks in his bedroom. And how cool is that, though, that I'm like, wow, you are, anybody can do this stuff. So I just feel super blessed to be where I am right now, and that people, that I've been given a gift to be able to write songs that people can relate to and want to continue sharing with others that might feel the same way.
And a big thank you to Emily for coming onto the podcast. Remember, go down into the show notes. There, I have links so you can check her stuff out, whether it's the By the Moon EP or to follow her on Instagram so you guys can keep up to date, know everything that she has going on, whether it's upcoming shows, upcoming music in the future, anything like that. So go down there and give her a follow. And that's it for this episode of Anything Goes with Jackson Neill. Thank you so much for checking it out. Remember, make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast on your favorite platforms. New episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. Also, down in the show notes, there's a link to jacksonneillpodcast.com. That's where I publish all the episodes to this, as well as my sports and music discussion podcasts. So if you want an archive of some episodes, you can head over to that link. Also, if you're a really big fan of the show and you want some bonus content, including bonus content from this interview where I talked to Emily about her favorite music she's listening to, some trips she's had abroad, you can go over to Patreon and become a subscriber there. For just a couple dollars a month or $1 a month, you can get bonus segments from this podcast here, as well as my sports and music ones as well. I write, record, produce, do everything for these podcasts myself as a full-time college student, so any little bit of support really allows me to spend more time making these episodes. If you want to stay up to date on all the podcasts, everything that I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JacksonNeil20. Today's music is by Analog by Nature with their song CDK Sunday. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you all next time.